Iran confirms massive Chinese missile deal, a geopolitical game-changer. In a dramatic move that is sending shockwaves across the global security landscape, Iran has officially confirmed the signing of a massive arms agreement with China, centered around the acquisition of advanced missile systems. The announcement has rattled defense analysts, worried Western capitals, and emboldened Tehran's stance in the Middle East. This deal represents not just the transfer of military hardware, but a significant shift in global alliances that could redefine power balances for years to come. The confirmation came from Iran's Ministry of Defense earlier today, stating that Tehran has finalized an agreement with Beijing for the purchase of an undisclosed but reportedly large number of advanced surface-to-air missile systems and tactical ballistic missiles. While neither side has released exact details about the number of units, the types of missile systems, or the financial value of the deal, sources close to the Iranian government suggest the package includes the highly sophisticated HQ-9B surface-to-air system, along with a variant of China's DF series short-range ballistic missiles. For Iran, this deal represents a major leap forward in its military modernization efforts. For decades, Tehran has been under crippling sanctions from the United States and Europe, restricting its ability to import cutting-edge weapons technology. Iran has long relied on older Russian-made systems like the S-200 and, more recently, a handful of S-300s. But with Moscow now deeply entangled in its war in Ukraine, Iran has increasingly turned toward Beijing for defense cooperation, and this deal is the clearest sign yet of that pivot. China, on the other hand, sees the deal as part of its long-term strategy to expand influence in the Middle East, a region traditionally dominated by U.S. security ties. By arming Iran, Beijing is signaling that it intends to play a much larger role in the region's security affairs, directly challenging U.S. dominance. Western governments reacted swiftly to the news. In Washington, Pentagon officials expressed deep concern, calling the agreement a destabilizing development in an already volatile region. Analysts argue that the introduction of Chinese missile systems into Iran's arsenal could significantly complicate U.S. and Israeli military planning. The HQ-9B, for example, is designed to intercept aircraft, drones, and even some ballistic missiles at long ranges. If deployed effectively, these systems could challenge Israeli air superiority and deter potential strikes on Iranian nuclear facilities. Meanwhile, European leaders echoed similar concerns. Officials in London, Paris, and Berlin highlighted that the deal undermines ongoing diplomatic efforts to contain Iran's missile program and its regional ambitions. For years, Iran's ballistic missile development has been one of the most contentious issues in negotiations over its nuclear program. With this new agreement, Tehran now gains access to foreign technology that could enhance both the quality and quantity of its missile arsenal. Tehran, however, insists that the deal is purely defensive in nature. In a press conference, Iran's defense minister stated that the systems would be used to protect the Iranian people and defend national sovereignty against external threats. He emphasized that Iran has every right to strengthen its defenses, especially in light of repeated threats from Israel and the United States. Beyond the political messaging, the strategic implications of this deal are enormous. Iran's current missile program is already one of the largest in the Middle East, with thousands of short and medium-range missiles capable of reaching targets across the region. The addition of Chinese technology could improve accuracy, mobility, and survivability. Experts warn that this may embolden Tehran to adopt an even more assertive posture in its confrontations with Israel, Saudi Arabia, and U.S. forces stationed in the Gulf. China's motivations are equally significant. Over the past decade, Beijing has pursued closer ties with Tehran as part of its Belt and Road Initiative and broader global strategy to counter U.S. influence. In 2021, Iran and China signed a sweeping 25-year strategic cooperation agreement covering trade, energy, infrastructure, and security. The newly announced missile deal appears to be one of the first major defense projects under this framework. By arming Iran, China not only secures a key ally in the Middle East but also gains leverage over Washington in their broader geopolitical rivalry. At the same time, this deal raises questions about Russia's role. For years, Moscow has been Iran's primary arms supplier, providing everything from tanks and aircraft to missile defense systems. However, Russia's ongoing war in Ukraine has strained its production capacity and limited its ability to export weapons. With Moscow increasingly dependent on Iranian drones and munitions, the dynamic of the relationship is shifting. Analysts suggest that Tehran may now see Beijing as a more reliable long-term partner for advanced weapons technology. Israel is perhaps the most directly threatened by this development. For years, Israeli officials have warned that Iran's missile program poses an existential threat. The possibility of Iran deploying HQ-9B batteries around its nuclear facilities could complicate any potential Israeli airstrike. Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant called the deal a dangerous escalation and vowed that Israel would continue to defend itself against all threats. Behind the scenes, Israeli intelligence services are likely recalculating their options in the face of this new reality. The deal also puts pressure on U.S. allies in the Gulf, particularly Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates. Both countries have long viewed Iran as their primary regional rival. The prospect of Tehran strengthening its missile defenses and enhancing its offensive capabilities will likely drive Riyadh and Abu Dhabi to seek even closer ties with Washington or possibly pursue their own arms deals with China and Russia. Another key dimension of this agreement is its impact on the global arms trade. The United States has long been the world's dominant arms supplier, particularly to the Middle East. China's entry into this highly sensitive market could mark the beginning of a new era of competition. Already, Beijing has successfully exported drones and missile technology to countries like Saudi Arabia, the UAE, and Egypt. By selling advanced systems to Iran, China demonstrates its willingness to cross what Washington has long considered red lines. Critics of U.S. foreign policy argue that this development is partly the result of Washington's own sanctions strategy. By isolating Iran economically and militarily, the U.S. may have pushed Tehran directly into Beijing's arms. As one analyst put it, when you cut off every option for a country, eventually they will find new partners who are willing to defy your restrictions. For ordinary Iranians, the deal is being portrayed by state media as a victory. Newspapers in Tehran carried headlines celebrating the agreement as proof that Iran is not isolated and that powerful nations like China are willing to support its sovereignty. In the streets, however, opinions are mixed. While some welcome the government's efforts to strengthen national defense, others question whether investing in costly missile systems is wise when the country is struggling with inflation, unemployment, and economic hardship. Looking ahead, this deal is certain to complicate U.S.-China relations even further. Washington is already locked in fierce competition with Beijing over trade, technology, and influence in Asia. Now, with China openly arming a nation considered by the U.S. to be a top adversary, the rivalry may spill more aggressively into the Middle East. The Biden administration will face mounting pressure from Congress to respond, whether through new sanctions, military aid to allies, or diplomatic measures aimed at containing Iran and countering China. In conclusion, Iran's confirmation of a massive missile deal with China is more than just a bilateral agreement, it is a signal of shifting global alliances and a challenge to existing power structures. For Tehran, it represents a lifeline and a strategic upgrade to its defense capabilities. For Beijing, it is a bold move into a region long dominated by U.S. influence. And for Washington, it is yet another front in its escalating rivalry with China. The consequences of this deal will ripple far beyond Tehran and Beijing, shaping the future of global security for years to come.